I'm just waiting for the numbers to go through. Yep. And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Delusions of Grandeur. I'm one of your hosts. But today we are continuing our escapades of film discussions into the past and the unknown prehistoric age. And one of the films that never made the cut, we are going to be talking about. So, Dane, why don't you tell us a little bit about that particular film?
Yes, which just for full disclosure, I was not the one who recommended this film, although I wish I had been, because it most certainly would have been my choice for this kind of thing, even though it does not take place in any kind of prehistoric time or setting or anything. It does involve a dinosaur of sorts, and I say that very loosely. And it's called the VelociPastor from 2018. Short little plot synopsis here from IMDb. After losing his parents, a priest travels to China, where he inherits a mysterious ability that allows him to turn into a dinosaur. At first horrified by this new power, a hooker convinces him to use it to fight crime and ninjas, which I think is the best description for any film ever. Like
it's one of the better ones IMDb has had.
It has. I mean, it's right up there with the movie we were talking about some time ago about what we were just kicking it around was a Mega Shark Endgame, where like you throw literally everything at the Mega Shark and it defeats all of them. But I mean, this is pretty close to that. I had not seen this. I'll just go first. I had not seen this film before tonight, but I had wanted to because I heard the title and I was like, I'm there. So it's a 2018 film, but it says 2018, but it also says 13th of August 2019. So who knows?
It has a couple of festival listings if you look at the early one. Yeah.
Well, and it's writer, director, and editor Brendan Steere, and starring Alyssa Kempinski and Greg Cohan and Aurelia Voltaire, who any fans of Gothic music will know him, and any Billy and Mandy fans will know him. And I've actually met him at Dragon Con, and he's very nice and kind of quirky and everything, which you would want him to be. And so that's pretty cool to see him in here. But yeah, I had not seen this film before tonight, but it's the perfect film for if you're feeling sad and lonely and you need something to perk you right up, because this will do it for you. It was just what I needed. It had that perfect blend of ridiculousness and self-aware, self-awareness in the editing, but also in the line delivery. I was very pleased with how good the actors were at doing comedy, just a lot of little things that we'll get into later. But whose first time was this for seeing this film?
All of us, yeah.
Well then, who wants to go next?
Oh, actually, I'll go ahead because I'm probably the closest to this when it was selected. I help run the polling for this, and some months we do have 5 films, so this actually would have been the 5th film for this month. That's how close the votes were. But Ice Age kind of just edged it out. But I wanted to see this because it just looked so absurd. I suggested it for the pre-show. And everybody else was on board at the time, because anyone who looks at this can tell it was a quality film that really didn't need any other introduction.
Yeah, if you don't want to see it based on the title, and especially based on that description, there's something wrong with you. You're
and the poster too. The poster's
my
really
God,
good.
It's glorious.
Yeah, I mean, well, see, that's what
the claw.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's got a catchy title. It's got a great poster. It's got a catchy tagline. And it gives you what you want. It's like that's called marketing, my friends.
Right.
And
merchandising.
Yes, exactly.
I wasn't quite certain what to expect, but as soon as I saw in the beginning, where instead of showing the fire, it just says, insert scene of car on fire.
And then they keep cutting to it. I love it.
That made me die laughing. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, I love this movie automatically. Because, I mean, if anybody, that's a great film editing joke, because if anybody has ever edited their own film and they needed to insert a special effects shot or whatever, sometimes you kind of put a temporary title card where it's supposed to be or whatever. I love that they left it in intentionally and they kept cutting back to it. I was like, that is brilliant. And then they do similar things, like they do the our hero so his, like we said in the beginning, his parents die in a car fire, goes to China to kind of get away from it all. And by China, we mean somebody's backyard in the United States somewhere. And yet the big title card says China, and it takes up the whole screen.
Hey,
and then
he walked for a ways, dude.
Yeah, and then he says...
Of course, he says
China.
Yes, I like that.
And then one of my favorite lines in the whole movie was, wow, China really is east after all.
Yes. Just walkaways, dude. If you see a Chinese girl and ninjas, you're there.
All he did was just go east.
Yeah, but
some of y'all are closer than others.
Well, and I had to rewind this part a couple times. It was when the girl gets shot with the arrow. Like, I originally thought this was like an intentional mistake, but I guess it wasn't. I thought that so she's running from screen left to screen right. The guy shooting the arrow shoots from screen left to screen right. She gets hit with the arrow. I thought that it came like it was as if it hit her from the front, but I think it actually did. The edge of it poked out from the front. But just the way that it was shot, like at first, I thought that they did that on purpose, as if the arrow flew from screen right to left. And I thought, oh, that would have been funny. Actually, if they'd have that would have been like some Monty Python and the Holy Grail kind of thing with like the, when Sir Lancelot is running and they just replay the same shot and then all of a sudden, boom, he's right there. I thought it was going to be one of those things, but so many great moments.
Well, right there you had one of the great moments where this girl, she's got an arrow sticking out of her chest. There's blood everywhere. Are you hurt?
Yeah. They have a couple of those in this movie, like where the one guy's sweetheart or whatever runs towards him and she blows up, and then the other guys are like, I don't think she's gonna make it.
I don't think there's coming back from this.
There's a lot to unpack in this as far as goodness.
I was gonna say, how do you even start with this movie? Because it's like, you could just do moment by moment, but it's like people should just see the movie at that point. But it's like, and they should see this movie. It's for streaming for free on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yeah.
But it's like, where do you even start with this thing?
Well, I guess
I was going to say it's also free on Tubi as well, which so even if you don't have Amazon Prime.
And incidentally, one thing to start finishing with the first impression. First time I ever heard of this was when Brandon and I were prepping for one of our preview videos, like the things that were coming up. And he looked at it, I was like, is that for real? I saw that title and I was like, what? I was like, this could be the best thing ever, or it could be awful. I had no idea what the vibe of the film was, but I was like, I want to see this just because of the title. I might regret my choice, but I want to see.
And we covered it twice because it was delayed a week, so we ended up covering it 2 weeks in a row.
Well, it pretty much was the best film ever made.
It's a good contender for it.
Good. All right,
as far as
this is definitely
dinosaur
the first
religious-based kung fu movies go.
I have someone in the other room that has some less choice words to say about it. So,
what did that person say?
She said it was stupid.
Well, it is. But in a good way.
It's like the best.
It said it was stupid, and
my God, isn't it magnificent at being stupid?
It's like the greatest film ever made. Well,
so what was your? Did it live up to, I guess, what you expected from your first impression, just learning that it existed, Jake?
Do what?
Did the movie, did it live up to what you were expecting just after learning that it existed?
I didn't know what to expect. I dreaded that it would be this horrible gore fest, like cheesy title and nothing to back it up. Like, I dreaded that it would have been just a complete slog. But I had no idea they were going full comedy. But I guess I should have figured that from the title. But
it seems like something the Dead Gentleman would have put up. Or,
yes.
Or even X-Strike later on.
In a way, I feel like we should have saved this to pair with The Gamers or Press Start or something like that. But whatever, they will come. Yes, they will.
Well, you gotta love that. Well, it wasn't really gory, but you gotta love the extremely obviously fake blood.
Oh yeah,
mannequin heads.
I mean, the aforementioned scene where the fiance steps on a landmine could have been awful, but they had fun with that. That was.
Well, I love the guy's expression. How he's just standing there dumbfounded and just absolutely drenched in this really obviously fake blood, and everybody's just kind of like, I don't think she's gonna make it.
Or the fact that his parents supposedly blew up and their car was not even there. There was no fire, and yet,
the best that we got was later. You had that small little wisp of flame that was clearly added in post.
And then you had the priest comforting the main guy.
Oh, that awkward hug. I drank that in like a good 3 times. Like I kept backing it up just to watch that.
Well, there were so many great moments between the two of them, but just that great bit of advice,
Well,
it's what they did.
I'm different. Don't worry, there are lots of people like that in the church. No, I mean,
who'd have thought it would have had a desperado ending?
As far as like just going ape shit at the end.
Oh, spoilers!
Oh, that and the fact that the dude ended up being his brother.
Oh yeah.
I guess this is a good point to, add the disclaimer here that this podcast is probably going to be rated X by an all-Christian jury, and there will be spoilers,
Yeah, that was a good bit to open it with, is that little reference to Sweet Sweetback's badass song. But was this your first time, Mo?
Yeah, this is one that basically, I mean, if I'm sure you guys are all aware of the types of movies I'm watching most of the time if you're friends with me on Facebook. So it was one I got tagged in a lot of times where people were like, yeah, you got to see this, and I held off on it. I'm glad that I waited to watch it the first time with you guys because, I have immediately people to discuss it with. I think a lot of my friends, though, that are into, just crappy B movies and stuff. It was a good recommendation. This is absolutely perfect movie for me. I'd pretty much echo most of your guys' sentiments. I love that it's like self-awarely stupid and it just doesn't even care if parts of it hits a lot of like B movie tropes in there, like the pointless backstory with the Vietnam shit that has nothing to do with anything. I love stuff like that. Just put a ninja in there. It doesn't fucking matter. I'll never not be a fan of movies that inappropriately insert ninjas into shit. You know,
and I particularly love the part where they had the lead ninja in that particular scene had a very strong Australian accent. And I was
oh yeah, that was one of the best exchanges of the movie, and it's doing like the anime fucking 70s like samurai movie thing with that guy where it's talking about the girl he loves and shit, and it's kind of fading in and out, and then it has nothing to do with anything.
When they're plotting their attack as if they're doing like a football play, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
Though I don't know, man. It was, like I said, it was everything I hoped it would be and more. And I'm ordering it as soon as possible.
Oh yeah,
it's definitely got to be on the shelf.
Definitely. Does Dave concur with that sentiment?
I actually had the polar opposite of my fiance sitting next to me. She was telling me to turn it off from the get-go, and I just kept playing it. But it kept coming upon the time to come on to Brandon's podcast yesterday. So I said, well, fuck it. I'll just turn it off halfway through, and then I'll watch the rest of it afterwards on my own. Screw you. So
not to put too fine a point on it.
So I absolutely loved this film. It's exactly. I mean, yeah, it is so. It is totally stupid. I mean, the guy kind of reminds me. Have any of you seen True Blood?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember the guy who was like all Christian shit? I think he was Susie Stackhouse's brother.
He did go through that born again phase because he didn't.
Yeah, born again husband wife duo. Well, that guy that called Christianity, he kind of reminded me of how old school doom and gloom priest kind of thing, because when he fended her the girl off, like, go away, you Jezebel, you sinful person, you.
Yeah. I think part of that is played up for last, like I thought, small little details when they're drinking the communion wine, they're just going for it, But the other thing, I think his I hadn't seen True Blood or anything, but I had to look this up. I thought that have you guys ever seen, it was a I think it was College Humor. They did their every Oscar-winning movie trailer ever. They did that video. The main guy that they had in there, he looked a lot like our hero here. I had to look it up to see if that was him, and it's not, but it did remind me of him. But yeah, that was an interesting little aside.
Well, I read one user review on IMDb that compared him to Benedict Cumberbatch, and what's his name? Damian Lewis, I think, is the name of the other guy that I'm reminded of. But yeah, it's kind of.
Well, our leading lady.
Who the girl reminded me of? She was cute.
She was very pretty. Our leading lady looked like a fusion of Cate Blanchett and Jennifer Lawrence, I thought.
I could see that.
She could have played either of their sisters if they ever needed to cast someone as one of their sisters. And
she did perfectly, she perfectly played the humor of the movie.
Oh yeah.
Some of the best lines in the movie came from that girl for sure.
Although it was great. Total bitch to him at first, when he first came out. Aside, she was like, when he bumped into her, she was like, ew, gross.
Well, I mean, I can't exactly blame her for being pissed at someone running into you.
Some random asshole bumps into me in that kind of neighborhood.
Well, when you're trying to make a buck too. I really love the kind of seizure-inducing sex scene, the way it was edited.
Oh, I've got a lot to say about that.
Well, and the fact the fact that it was seizure-inducing with how it was cut, it was almost cut like a music video, but then at the same time, like there was, well, no nudity, but there was also hardly any like taking of off of the clothes. Really, there's a lot of like finger touching and things like that.
Well, I mean, with all the panels and all the different screens that they were showing,
Yeah, they all pretty much.
Kind of reminded me of some of the scenes in Hulk that are probably part of the reason why people are less fan of that than they could have been.
And I like Ang Lee's Hulk because I respect what it was trying to do, but I agree that technique was a little off-putting for most people, including myself when I first saw it. But Brandon, anything to add as far as first impressions?
Oh no, it was an interesting one, and I plan on eventually getting it. It didn't change my plan to get it. I mean, when I saw it, I planned on getting it.
Moved your timetable.
Yeah, maybe moved it forward a little bit. Maybe around my birthday, I might try and grab it.
Yeah, it's a movie that definitely belongs on anyone's shelf. Like it's amazing.
It is getting bought on Friday for sure,
without a doubt. Did anyone have a favorite scene or moment or line of dialogue? I mean,
oh boy,
this is one of those movies that is like the only way to really even talk about it is just individual moments that we liked, because like, well, it's a pretty short movie. It's like an hour and 10 minutes. Ice Age was longer. And it's something that you can get through very quickly, and it doesn't drag really. Even the parts that are kind of intentionally there for padding, even those parts are really funny, like the Vietnam flashback that's there for no reason. Like even that has a lot of really funny moments in it. Trying to think, like, if I had I think the part that just sealed the deal right away was the VFX, fire, that whole title card. I thought that just sealed the deal. I was like, I love this movie now, just right away.
Yeah, and it just keeps getting better, the trip to China, that's a highlight for me for sure, where he just drives for a bit and then he's walking through the woods and he's like just there. I fucking love that so much because it is stupid, and but it's very sort of intentionally stupid, and it's a good way to make a backyard seem a lot bigger than it is.
Well, and I mean, anybody that's made anything low budget, anything that's supposed to take place outdoors, it's like you just find some woods and shoot. I mean, I've done that before. I think a lot of people have done that before.
Oh, for sure.
And I mean, that's just a great way to
is a good example of a movie that was basically shot in someone's backyard and that feels a lot bigger than it is,
Yeah, I mean, if you can sufficiently fake it, then why not? But it's like,
not that they did that at all here, but they weren't trying to. It was kind of almost a nod to the backyard thing. Like,
yeah, this was like the ultimate version of that. Literally backyard filmmaking. But it like embraced it. Which I thought was awesome.
I don't know. A highlight for me would definitely be Frankie Mermaid in general.
Oh,
that was such a fucking gangster, man. They call him Frankie Mermaid because he's swimming in bitches. He smokes in the confessional booth because his life is on fire. It's a shame they had to fucking kill him.
Yeah, he was a very entertaining character, and like I would have liked to have seen more of him. I like the one line where he's like, if I was, whatever he said, like if I was gobbling dicks as fast as you were, whatever, then I'd be a millionaire by now.
Fuck yeah. Frankie was a beast. Like the whole first scene too, where he turns into the VelociPastor after he, gets pricked by the raptor claws, pretty dope too, I guess.
Yeah.
Kind of wakes up and thinks it was a dream, and then.
Well, and I like the fact that we don't see the full VelociPastor costume until the very end, and it kind of reminded me of like there's that movie Night Beast from the 80s where
love it.
Well, but it's like with that one they clearly filmed the bits with the actual Night Beast costume. They clearly shot it later and then inserted it because nobody actually interacts with the Night Beast itself.
Yep, you never see it on screen. There's like the one scene I think where you do, and other than that, it's all.
Yeah, it's all they're all inserts, and there's a lot of bits in Spookies that's like that too. A lot of monsters and characters that don't really interact with each other. but but the fact that we get to see it just a little bit, and we can see how obviously fake the mask is, and it's like, oh, I love it. And everybody's just terrified, and they're getting their limbs bitten off and everything.
I wish they'd used one of those blow-up T-Rex suits.
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be better than the Barney suit for sure, dude. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Those inflatable T-Rex suits, like the people that have made those videos on YouTube, and there's been a lot of people that have done this. It's not just one person, but the people that have done that, and they run around on like the bouncy castles and things like that. Like whenever I see those, I just lose it because I think it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Oh, it's amazing. They organized that big race of all those people in them.
Yeah.
I think that happened right up here in the Northwest, didn't it? I feel like it was in like Seattle or something.
Oh, we have one of those people that was that dressed up in the inflatable T-Rex costume when we were at the Halloween party on the cruise ship in 2017. And that guy or girl, whoever it was in that costume, they were dancing up a storm. They were just like kicking it back and just moving it on the dance floor.
It's the same principle as those sumo suits, Like there's just something about it, the way it moves on the person, the way they move in it, that makes it fucking funny. And one of those would have been perfect for this movie, especially for the scenes at the end, like the whole finale. That would have been amazing with one of those.
Well, I mean, the suit that we got, wasn't exactly that far from that idea. I mean, the actual suit, if you look at it, like I was like, is this thing like a hunchbacked velociraptor?
I like that. Just doesn't look agile at all.
No, it looks like and that's what's funny.
Doesn't even fucking look like a velociraptor.
Well, yeah, and it's like,
no, not at all.
If that thing were to exist in real life, it would get annihilated immediately, and yet it's like the most fearsome thing ever, which is so great. Trying to think.
I don't know. I think
I have to admit, one thing that came to mind for me was the way they introduced it, like in quick cuts early on, and how dang cheesy it looked. Mm-hmm. It actually did bring to mind Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But thankfully, this was much more entertaining. But yeah. Yes.
I think that whole scene where we first see like that first kill too, and that they come back afterwards, there's that delicious moment where he thinks that he broke his vow of chastity with this girl. And he's trying to ask her if it's her first time, and she's like, yeah.
Well, then she's like, it was weird. I was nervous, and I think I peed myself.
Dude, and she has one of the best lines in the fucking movie when they go back to find the body, and she's like, look, I'm a hooker or whatever, and he's like, you're a hooker? And she's like, well, I'm also fucking pre-med law, but that seems to surprise people less.
Actually, though, that scene itself, where they're looking at the body, struck me as unintentional. Well, no, somewhat intentionally hilarious. The fact that he was treating it like a fairly serious scene, yet all he was wearing was that ugly orange sweater dress.
That was
he
awesome.
filled it out nice too. I gotta give it to him.
Both of them really kind of actors too, but especially them. They did a really good job. Like they were hamming it up, but they were also serious when they needed to be, and they actually worked. That's a difficult line to walk.
It really is.
Did it well.
Yeah. Well, and for me, there's
you have to be just serious enough to be authentic within this ridiculous. It's like a good example is Airplane, where the film itself is about as ridiculous as could be, but the actors are playing it as if they're in as if they're bad actors trying to act their best, even though they're obviously very good at being comedic actors. But like they're trying to, within the context of the moment, they're trying to take it seriously and trying to do some of that B-movie drama, kind of melodrama sincerity. And you can see the actors here trying to do that, but also, they know how to ham it up, but without losing that sincerity, as well as without mugging to the camera.
Yeah,
Because I
it's
think
pretty
that,
expertly done.
Yeah.
And like the way that, you know, there's little filmmaking things in there too that you could tell these guys could have made a much better movie if that's what they were fucking trying to do. But
quote
that's
unquote.
clearly not what was going on here, you know.
Yeah.
Well, a quote unquote better movie, because I would argue for the kind of movie this was trying to be, I think it was a fucking masterpiece, pretty much.
I'd agree. I don't know. Then what happens after that? I think we get, you know, he's freaking out about the fact that he has like killed someone, and she basically convinces him like, no, you can like kill pedophiles and rapists and all these assholes, and it could be like the most priestly thing you've ever done or whatever. So and then we get like a training montage where he's.
You gotta love that she knows. You gotta love that she knows how many priestly things he has or hasn't done. But also, like, you gotta love. So during that whole montage, like, I was expecting more, like, kills to take place, but it was almost more like a rom-com montage because you see them kind of getting closer to each other.
Right.
But I mean, I think, well, not only are they very talented comedic actors, but also I think that they had really good chemistry too, and that's tough. That's tough enough in a serious film. But I would argue it could actually be harder.
Slightly harder, yeah.
Yeah, and especially one where you've got, you know, I mean, when you read the plot out loud, it's like anybody that, you know, if someone didn't get it as an actor, if they didn't get it, then the whole movie
would come across, and with comedy too, I think that you got to really get in, I think, to each other's personalities a little bit more, maybe. Then, because, you know, good dialogue can save like some drama or some shit, even if you only have a little bit of chemistry. But a well-written joke isn't gonna save anything if the two people fucking delivering the shit don't also get the joke, like you're saying. So it's they hit it on the head hard with this movie, I think. At least the two principal characters, you know.
Oh yeah,
and I think the people surrounding them did well too. But I mean, our main two, and actually his superior, we got to give him
Father
some
Steere.
Oh yeah.
He did a really good job, and Voltaire, despite only being in the one scene, I think he was very memorable too.
Well, you know, I don't know that guy outside of this movie, but I would say that it's a memorable sequence in the movie, but I feel like he felt the most traditional. I don't know how to even put it, like traditionally cheese.
Yeah,
like
I mean, well,
I don't think he had as much invested in it though as the other people.
If you
know, he is just there.
If you know Voltaire outside of it, then you'll know that he kind of always has one foot in the cheese camp anyway. And I know that because I've talked to him one-on-one, and I have a picture with him and everything. And
it just felt like he maybe wasn't on quite the level with this particular project as the people in the context of the movie.
Well, I mean, he's also probably only shooting for a day too.
Yeah, that one part.
Well, he's like trying to squeeze it in amidst all the other stuff he's got going on. So you know, but I mean,
at first I was like, this dude's kind of whack, but then now that I know that fucking he's like a cameo for people that basically maybe have fandom of him or whatever, and clearly the people making the movie had to have. It makes sense. It's a different brand of camp, you know.
Yeah, well,
and it's obvious during the scene. It's like, oh, we've all of a sudden like this guy's kind of a little bit more average B movie level here. And
well, and he also so he was someone who did a lot of original songs for The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, which I was a huge fan of back in the day, and still am.
Oh, love it. Yeah,
I love that show. But yeah, he did the Brains song, and for the movie, he did the title song. That's
super cool. Like as soon as you mentioned that, I was like, oh,
yeah,
that was to look into that
was
element of his career.
It's great stuff. And did you notice that I was kind of trying to figure out like what language he was speaking with the incantations or whatever. At first I thought, is this Italian or what is it? And then
Subtitle said Latin, but I'm not. I'm taking that with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I could have sworn I heard him say Alice Cooper at one point.
He probably did.
Yeah.
I think he did, but
was Father Stewart even speaking real Latin when they were in the church? It sounded really like mumbled out. Like
it was very mumbled. If it was, then it was very mumbled. I have to agree. Trying to think there. I don't really know if there was much that I didn't like about it for the kind of movie it was trying to be.
No, yeah. I mean, okay, if I had to level a criticism at VelociPastor, it's maybe that they don't do enough with the ninja thing, but I think that also is like a highlight of it because they're just there and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So, like I said at the beginning, I'm never not going to be a fan of inappropriately inserting ninjas. I don't even give a fuck if we're watching like a serious movie and all of a sudden there's a ninja for a minute for no reason. Thumbs up.
Yeah.
I have to ask.
Thanks for the random ninjas.
Several of you are more familiar with this subject than I am. Which
one?
Are Chinese ninjas actually a thing? I mean, Japanese ninjas, yes, but Chinese ninjas?
Well, both countries lean heavily into martial arts and specialized fucking combat, and I would say that it's probably likely China had something that was like their equivalent to ninjas, just like the Middle East has those, you know. It was actually a thing I was getting into for a bit when I was like looking up all these like Forgotten Warrior Tribe videos and things like that. And there's like these mad crazy like Middle Eastern assassin tribes that used to exist and shit. It's like how you'd kill another king if you wanted to back then. You'd be like, hey, you know, you dudes do it and hopefully they don't kill me too. Fucking, I'm pretty sure that China had ninjas, but I don't know that they wouldn't be called ninjas for one thing.
No, they wouldn't.
Well, the word ninja is obviously a Japanese word, but I mean, look at I'm sure that Mo's familiar with Godfrey Ho, the Hong Kong director who is prolific with ninja films all over the place.
Oh, and if he's making those crappy ones from like the 80s and the 90s, chances are I've seen several of them. You know?
Yeah, where they're like wearing pink, not geese, because that's
on purple and shit.
Yeah. Well, what would you call the ninja uniform? Because a gi is obviously what you wear for fighting, like in a tournament.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a word for it though.
I'm sure there is, but I mean,
I'm sure I've heard it. But yeah.
But like the ones that like they have a head. Well, they have like a headband across their head that says ninja on it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just in case you're,
Total mall ninja shit. Like you got.
I mean, if anybody is familiar with the Cinema Snob, like he did, this was like way early in his career when he was first starting, but he did a special Pierre Kirby week, which Pierre Kirby was a Australian actor who was inserted into the Godfrey Ho sections of other Hong Kong films that he would kind of splice together to make into one movie. And you know, in there you see all the usual things of like the multicolored ninjas with like wearing pink and yellow and all these things that like
just stupid shit that would never facilitate sneaking, you know.
Oh, I know.
And the mall ninja swords, man. This is very much a nod to that kind of stuff.
It is.
Like the sword of my ancestors part, that shit was amazing.
Yeah.
That was great. Now, the only thing that we
Your ancestors are my ancestors.
Well, true. They're probably white kids buying mall ninja swords, man. Like shit that's not functional at all. It would never be used by anyone.
We didn't get to see multicolored ninjas, but we did get to see ninja priests, I guess, is what they were, because they were affiliated with the church to try to put drugs on the market and then take them off, so that way you'd have enough drug-addled people that would, I guess, try to get clean through a Christian organization or something.
Right.
It's
and
very,
I feel that, you know, that begs some mentioning
goofy
there too. Like the plot very much centers around him just deciding he's going to fight crime and fucking shit with these VelociPastor powers. But then it turns out he's pissed off like this Chinese crime syndicate who hang out in a tent in the forest. And we think they're a crime syndicate. Really, they're like a Christian cult. that's trying to get people addicted to cocaine so that they can then take it away and make them all desperate and then force them to join Christian self-help groups and things.
It's kind of like Opus Dei, but if Godfrey Ho directed it.
What did he say it was? Divine what the fuck? He used that fucking term for like this is what we're meant to do, like that religious term, and then the
Manifest Destiny.
Manifest Destiny.
That's like a religious / political kind of. It's like a Western expansionist kind of term.
Yeah, which back then the two were pretty interlinked. So.
Exactly, but yeah, that was pretty cool. I did
hell
like
of a plot. You know, I don't know that.
I love that the our leading lady, she gets sliced up despite the fact that she easily could have dodged that sword attack. Gets sliced up, delivers the big dying speech to get him to finish off the bad guys, and then I love when he's like screaming and then pause. Oh wait, you know, and he has to remember to get her medical attention, and all of a sudden she's gonna be all right, and he goes in the hospital room, and she's like sitting up, and it's like she doesn't even have any like IVs in her or anything, and I was just like, that was so great. It's almost like she's just getting a checkup.
I got better.
I know, seriously.
Yeah, it was just a flesh wound, you know.
Pretty much. I mean, that cracked me up when.
I will admit, I was kind of peeved to see her just take that and die, and then when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, they got it back.
Yeah. Well, I love the ending too, where they're clearly setting up a sequel. Which, please God, let there be a sequel to this, please. I want to see more.
It desperately needs it.
It really needs. I want to see them globetrot all over the world.
I'm talking full trilogy, dude.
Okay? Oh yeah. Well, I want to see them globetrot all over the world, and they put in the the title card or whatever where it is, but it's all the same woods.
If we could make the third one in space somehow too, while also doing all of that, I think that would be amazing.
Yes.
It would still be the same woods.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the woods, but on an alien planet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, the original Star Trek series basically recycled whatever sets that CBS had laying around from other shows, and it's like, oh gee, we happen to land on a planet that just happens to look exactly like Nazi Germany because it developed just like.
That is such one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek.
Yeah, I know, but they did that all the time where they would reuse
that one, and when the evil ones come and they're they're evil because they have mustaches. That's fucking the best shit in the world.
Or they go on a lot of planets that all happen to conveniently resemble
where there's a bunch of gangsters that are in like.
That's a great one too.
I mean, they would recycle like all the Western sets that they had laying around now, and they did that several times where they would go to these planets that all happened to resemble the Western United States in the 1800s, and I was like, oh gee, well I was lucky, but I mean it's that same kind of spirit here. But I mean Star Trek was pretty low budgeted for its time, and I mean obviously this film was very clearly low budgeted, but I mean it made up for. I'm pretty sure
it was at least like an episode and a half worth, maybe if we inflated the money.
Yeah, something like that. But
an episode and a half of Star Trek worth of movie here.
Something like that. But I mean, it clearly, it was not cynical whatsoever. It had you got a lot of heart, kid. And it's true. This movie did have a lot of heart, a lot of sincerity. It just took the title and it just went for it. And those are my favorite kinds of movies. The ones that whatever their concept is, it could be serious, funny, scary, whatever, they just take it and they go all the way with it. I don't think you can fault them for that.
No.
Anything that we haven't covered?
Yeah, any of you guys got favorite scenes that haven't been mentioned? I mean, feel free to dive in there.
Well, one that we kind of mentioned in passing, but we didn't really mention all that much, was the confessional scene between Frankie Mermaid and the
yeah.
That was interesting.
I love it where he's like, I stole some candy from a baby. I threw the baby in the river so it couldn't snitch, you know.
Oh,
He says it so
Well,
casually.
it's been a while since my last confession.
We cover maybe the last 4 days. Like he's trying to keep it condensed for the pastor.
Yeah. Well, and I like that when he's hearing all that stuff. I mean, very clearly, which I mean, we already mentioned the panel montage bit in the sex scene there being similar to Ang Lee's Hulk. I mean, there are a lot of Hulk-like aspects to this as far as it being triggered by some kind of emotional stress or anger or something like that. And that scene in particular did remind me a lot of a couple of moments in Ang Lee's Hulk where that happens. But that was a good one because it's like he's trying to be cordial about it, but he's also trying to be truthful with all of the killings that he's done.
Well, I thought that whole sequence was pretty brilliant, actually, dude.
With
the song choice. Go ahead, Jake.
Lights up a cig or spliff or whatever the hell that was he had, and you can't.
I liked the music throughout. I mean, that was a killer soundtrack, I think.
Yeah, it was a good mix of like alt rock and punk with like that 80s sort of shit that you expect, and
with that
good shit on.
With that 70s grindhouse opening credit style, so you kind of had a decent blend of grindhouse from different eras kind of all come together.
Oh yeah, and back to Frankie Mermaid for a moment and old shit. That comb over was fucking glorious, wasn't it? I always like to take the time to appreciate a good comb over because you don't see him as often as you should.
At first, I wondered if he was wearing before he took his hat off. I was wondering if he was wearing a wig similar to Samurai Cop, how the lead actor there, he had long hair, thought he was done, got a haircut, and then, oh, wait, we still got to shoot like half of the movie. And so for like half of the scenes, he's wearing like the really, really feminine wig, like it's not a man's
That is just the shit that I live for right there.
Yeah. Well, but it's like, I thought his hair was a wig at first, then he took it off. I was like, oh, okay. So that must have been closer to the truth than I thought.
Frankie the Mermaid was probably my favorite character, despite how terrible person he was. Just the fact that he was in the confession booth. So yeah, I killed all these people, and I really liked it. I was enjoying it.
No.
Hearing him go on about it.
Sometimes for business, sometimes for fun,
If it were an actual 70s film, you can bet that character would have been played by Joe Spinell, who played Gazzo.
Sure.
Well, he was Gazzo in Rocky, and he was the bad guy in the Maniac from 1980.
He was one of the main dudes in The Godfather too, wasn't he?
Probably.
He played like their accountant or whatever.
He would fit right in that world, that's for sure.
Really?
Anything else that we haven't touched on?
Well,
I mean, basically, anyone listening, just go see the movie right now. Yes. Drop everything you're doing, see it. You will not be disappointed.
I actually had a weird dream related to the soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah, because the first time I was watching it, I was trying to watch it in bed, and that's a mistake. After I work 2 shifts consecutively, sitting down and watching the film is not a good idea. Because no matter how entertaining the film is, eventually I'm out. Yeah. For some reason, and I don't know how many of you are actually, I might be one of the only ones who's old enough to remember this show, but I saw the credits roll in my dream, and it was the theme to Denver the Last Dinosaur playing. And I don't know why, but I thought to myself, that would have been perfect as the ender for that.
That sounds oddly familiar, dude, but I don't think I probably watched it on TV, though. More than likely it was like renting tapes from Safeway or something as a kid.
I tell you, go on YouTube after, you watch the film, and then go back and just start running the credits, but instead of cut out the sound and then run that soundtrack as the background. And I don't know why, it fits for me.
Oh yeah. Does anyone remember Serendipity, the Pink Dragon? That was some shit.
No, not really.
I remember Serendipity from Dogma, but that was Selma Hayek.
Yeah, and then there was the movie, which was kind of fun. But I don't know about a Pink Dragon.
Yeah, I think it might even be like old anime, dude. Could be something to look into.
Serendipity, that's a cool name for a dragon, actually.
Yeah, it's like a pink Loch Ness monster.
Serendipity is just a good word in general.
It is.
Yeah.
Also, VelociPastor would fall into the list of fucking really good words. Good Lord, what a title, huh?
That could be the best word in the English language.
It might be. It very well might be. I don't know, Dave, you got some favorite scenes there? You haven't said much, buddy.
Well, I really enjoyed the film overall. I mean, I even loved the part after this, the montage of the sex scene, which really isn't a total sex scene. It's kind of like an alludeness to the fact that they had, gotten under the covers.
Yeah, it's just really like a dope music video.
Yeah,
that's probably, if I had to pick like quality wise, that's my favorite scene.
After that is when the ninjas come into their bedroom, and after we don't really know that they have ninja skills, and they do, and they just stand across from each other, and they just start making out like afterwards.
I was hoping that they would, like, as soon as they were done, I was like, please just go for it again on top of these people, and they did it.
Yes.
Oh, that was glorious.
That was the scene with the Australian ninja, right?
No, that was later when they were ambushing him after he was in full VelociPastor form.
Right.
Which that reminds me, you gotta love.
Or he wasn't quite yet, but he was going there.
Well, his long lost brother or whatever that gets introduced, that we find out like in the last few minutes. You gotta love the fact that when he's first introduced, before we even know who he is, really, he's got a headband, which is just a scarf, really, or a bandana headband, and then he's got one over his mouth, and they're like the same thing. And I was like, wow, you must have just gotten that out of your drawer and just threw it on.
Yeah, dude, I love that fucking scene with him. Go ahead.
It's not that much different than the red-headed Foot Clan wannabe in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hey,
also, that's kind of
ginger ninjas are a thing, bro.
And I'm guessing
Ginge Ninja.
I guess the one credited as Sam the White Ninja, but and then you also have his boss, but also his mentor, Wei Chan, played by Ji Chang Yang.
Who just talks in Chinese, no matter who's talking to him, and they somehow just understand it.
Yes, I like that part. And then, but I was just reminded, like, of the, for the most part, I thought Sam was the one more annoying character, but he was obviously supposed to be. But I liked how every time he and Wei Chan were, like, plotting some devious stuff, they would start doing this insane laughter. And it was like they were trying to kill each other. And I was kind of reminded in that. I was kind of reminded of the whole thing about the evil laugh in Dr. Horrible, and I was just
that laughter. I have to. Yeah. It's not easy to, in a comedy, like to do evil laughter that we haven't heard a million times before, and the way that he did it was great because it was the most uneven, bizarre, evil laugh I've ever heard in my life, and I was like, that was perfect.
The last time they did that in as an original fashion is in the Muppet movie that they did.
Yes.
Where the guy's like, maniacal laugh.
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh. Yeah, like that's
I was reminded of the Austin Powers movie.
That too, yeah.
Where what's his name was the redheaded character. he was learning how to be his little stooge, and Mini Me was.
Oh, Scott, his son, or
Yeah.
yeah. Well, in the first one, they had that great scene where they're laughing evilly, and then it just kind of awkwardly trails off and ends, and they're just kind of standing there, not really knowing what to do next. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's my point. Is like we've heard the evil laugh even in movies that are meant to more or less be taken seriously. We've heard the evil laugh so many times that we don't even think about it, but it's hard to do it in a way that we haven't heard before. And I feel like, that's a major compliment in this movie's favor, that we really did get to hear it in a way that we haven't heard it before. So good on you, VelociPastor. Any final thoughts from anybody?
Not that I know of.
Me either.
Got covered, yeah.
Everybody who's listening, drop what you're doing, see the movie. I promise you will not be disappointed.
One thing that did disappoint me while we were talking, I was looking on eBay. It's not a cheap movie, but
No,
it's worth it.
I think it might be another, at least as far as Blu-ray goes. I think it might be another Amazon Press on demand kind of thing. Which anybody that's been following along, I've had two of those, Girl House and Antrim, that were both press on demand on Amazon, and no features or anything, and they weren't the cheapest, but at the same time, if they are worth it, and VelociPastor is most definitely worth it, then yeah, it's one of those things everybody needs to have it on their shelf regardless. They should throw that in with the next stimulus bill, is just everybody gets a free copy of this movie.
Oh, it definitely changed the mood.
It changes hearts and minds for the better, I think. And what more could you ask for, really? All right, so does everyone want to give their spiel?
Who wants to start?
Why don't I just, I'm Septum Sen, a Septum Sen versus the world. We're continuing to adapt as the world changes around us, but we are still up and functioning, and even have involved some of the crew here, as a matter of fact, as we have fun weekly discussions, and sometimes things, really interesting things come up that I would never have thought of myself. Of course, that's more for fun, but our main objective is to share our love of physical media with you. So why not join us?
Join us. Join us.
Join us or die.
One of us.
Go ahead, Jake.
Okay. What? Doing the outro? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was distracted. So yeah, I'm Jake, and I approve this movie.
Oh, there you go.
Well, I mean, we are in an election year, so that fits.
All right, well, I'll do my main outro with the other show, but y'all know me. I'm play on Septum Sin versus the World. I play on this channel and on Inside Movies Galore, and it's good times.
Mo.
Go ahead, Dane.
Well, let's let Mo go, and then I'll go, and then David can close us out.
Okay. I guess Mo, why don't you go?
He's having problems right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, he's Mo, and he's awesome.
Yeah, Drunken Master Studios is a great thing, so definitely
yes.
check it out.
And I'm Dane Kyle, independent filmmaker out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Recently been a part of the YouTube channel Indie Horror Film Creative, where I've been doing a lot of Blu-ray unboxings. Gonna do some formal reviews pretty soon, I should think. Just with the next unboxing is gonna try and get a setup that's a little bit more camera friendly, because right now I've just been doing it one-handed and then opening it with the other hand, and now I'm probably going to set it up to where I can be in frame and have two hands to open and show and everything. And that's on top of, being able to, now that I'm settled in my new place, be able to, get some new film projects started, or at least in the works, such that when the world stops ending, that, I can restart that whole side of my life.
Awesome.
Sorry
And,
about that, boys.
Is
Mo,
Mo back?
why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself before we go on?
Who's that now, me?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, my name is Mosley. I hang out with these guys a bunch and talk about movies. So obviously, check out past discussions. I also do videos for my channel, Drunken Master Studios, where I just review old movies and, very occasionally do video game stuff. Probably should do more of it. But lately I've been screwing around with a bunch of samurai flicks and giant rubber lizard movies from Japan. So if you're interested in that, come on over there. Also got some pickups going out. Got another episode of that going out tonight, actually. So check that out. Sub Rebel Gaming Club if you want a good weekly pickup show as far as just random video games and other cool stuff goes. And obviously sub up all these guys. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
And my name is David Sturgey. I am one of the founding fathers of Inside Movies Galore, as well as Delusions of Grandeur, where I end up posting video pickup videos and video reviews from time to time, and I have random ass interviews with directors. But we're about to go on and continue our prehistoric month with the cult classic Ice Age. So stay tuned for that on the Inside Movies Galore channel. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Stay caveman.